Drake is out here spiraling, and fans are watching the downfall in real time. What started as rap beef is now straight-up embarrassment. Imagine this: the Six God himself, the man who turned Toronto into a global brand, stepping into a packed LA. Then sweaty, hyped, and clearly trying way too hard and shouting, "Y'all ready for a mosh pit?" But instead of the eruption he expected, he got booed, loud, ugly, ruthless. And here's the kicker: all this unfolded just days after Kendrick Lamar dropped his latest diss, torching Drake's ego with surgical precision. Sources close to the OVO camp say Drake is obsessed watching Kendrick clips on loop, scribbling in notebooks like he's back in Degrassi. He even reportedly called his stylist at 2 a.m. yelling, "I need ragecore. I need mosh pit energy. They need to feel me." But fans aren't feeling him. They're clowning him. His attempts to mimic Kendrick's raw street appeal are falling, flattened. It's turning into a full-blown identity crisis. Stick around, because this isn't just about music anymore. This is about power, envy, and a rap king losing his throne in front of the whole world. Drake had always been obsessed with winning. Whether it was charts, awards, or the hearts of millions, he needed to be on top. But lately, something had shifted. Ever since Kendrick Lamar dropped that venom-laced diss track slicing through Drake's persona like a knife through silk, Drake hadn't been the same. The confident, charming artist fans once idolized was now a man unraveling in slow motion. The world didn't know the whole story yet. But insiders whispered that Drake wasn't just hurt. He was furious and desperate. It all began the night Kendrick premiered his latest single at a surprise pop-up show in Compton. Fans described the energy as electric, chaotic, and pure. The moment Kendrick shouted, "This one's for the ones who ain't scared of giants," the crowd erupted, knowing exactly who the line was aimed at: Drake. Every bar felt like a slap to the face. Kendrick didn't just diss Drake, he dismantled him bar by bar, accusing him of hiding behind ghostwriters, buying respect, and being a tourist in the culture. Back in Toronto, Drake watched the footage alone in his home theater, surrounded by his entourage who didn't dare speak. The room was silent, save for the bass from Kendrick's track and the occasional crack of Drake's knuckles. He replayed it again and again, his eyes burned with fury. He stood up slowly, muttering, "They think he's realer than me." No one answered. They didn't need to. He already knew the answer. Sources close to Drake say that after that night, he went into what they called war mode. Studio sessions ran till 6 a.m. every day. He stopped answering calls, even unfollowed some of his own team members who dared repost Kendrick's performance. He wasn't just making music anymore, he was planning revenge. But the pressure was eating him alive. Then came the wild decision. A secret show in Los Angeles, unannounced until the night before. Drake wanted to reclaim the narrative. He wanted raw energy, chaos, a crowd that screamed like they were watching their messiah. He told his team, "I want rage, I want smoke. We're not doing any of that soft lover boy energy. I want a mosh pit." Something Kendrick couldn't handle. Everyone nodded, but not everyone believed in the plan. One of his longtime producers reportedly whispered to a friend, "This ain't him. He's forcing it." But Drake wouldn't. Listen. The show sold out within hours, packed with fans, influencers, and curious onlookers eager to witness what he'd do next. The energy backstage was tense. Drake wore all black, chains heavy around his neck, and eyes red like he hadn't slept. Before walking out, he slammed a bottle of water and said to his crew, "They're gonna feel me tonight." What happened next? No one was ready for it. The lights dimmed. Smoke covered the stage. The bass dropped, but it wasn't a Drake classic. It was a new beat, aggressive, dirty, punk-inspired. Fans were confused, murmuring, looking around. Drake stormed out screaming, "Where my real ones at? It's ready for a mosh pit." He tried to bounce, incite chaos, arms swinging wildly. But the crowd didn't move. At first, it was awkward silence. Then came the scattered boos. Light at first, then heavier, then unmistakable. Someone near the front yelled, "You ain't Kendrick." Others laughed. Drake's face twitched. He tried again. "Y'all ain't loud enough? Where the energy at?" But instead of hype, he got eye rolls, crossed arms, and more boos. Someone threw a water bottle. Someone else tossed a fake wig, mocking his recent hairstyle choices. The moment was crumbling before him. A camera captured Drake, pausing, eyes scanning the sea of unbothered faces. He took a deep breath, clenched the mic, and muttered, "I gave y'all my whole life." There was no roar of sympathy. Cold. Indifference. Backstage, chaos erupted. One of Drake's security guards reportedly shouted, "Pull him now." But Drake refused to leave. He performed 3 more tracks, each one more chaotic and off-brand than the last. He tried to scream, growl, jump into the crowd. No one caught him, literally. He dove into the pit and landed hard. Fans moved aside like he was invisible. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was humiliating. When he got back behind the curtain, he was shaking. Not from anger, from shame. He ripped off his shirt, punched a wall, and reportedly yelled, "They don't get it. They don't ****ing get." One of his old friends tried to calm him, saying, "You don't have to be like Kendrick, just be Drake." But that only made it worse. Drake shouted back, "Being Drake ain't enough anymore." Meanwhile, social media exploded. Clips of the failed crowd dive, the boos, the limp mosh pit, attempt it, all went viral within minutes. Fans were torn. Some defended him, saying he was just experimenting. Others mocked him mercilessly. One tweet read, "Drake out here role-playing as Travis Scott and failing miserably." Another said Kendrick made him question his whole identity. This is sad. The media wasn't any kinder. Hip-hop blogs ran headlines like "Drake's punk rock disaster" and "From 6 God to crowd flop." Even mainstream outlets picked it up, speculating whether Drake had finally cracked under the pressure. But it wasn't just the fans and press. People close to Drake began to pull away. His longtime stylist resigned the next morning, posting a cryptic message on Instagram. "You can't style an identity crisis." And then the rumors started that this wasn't just about music, it's that Drake was going through something deeper. Heartbreak, betrayal, maybe even regret. Insiders claimed he'd recently reached out to Kendrick, privately sending a voice note saying, "Maybe we went too far." No one knows if Kendrick replied. But what we do know is that this was only the beginning. Because while Drake tried to recover from the public humiliation of the night before, someone else in his circle was planning to leak the truth behind everything. A betrayal was brewing. And it was coming from inside the house. And when it dropped, it would shake the rap world to its core. But before that betrayal could surface, Drake made one more move. One last attempt to salvage his pride. And it involved a very unexpected call to a woman from his past. The same woman Kendrick once dated. She hadn't heard from Drake in years. Not since the summer they spent tangled in secrecy, whispering promises neither of them planned to keep. Her name was Mila, a singer-songwriter from Oakland with a voice like honey and eyes that saw straight through industry games. Back then, Drake was obsessed with her talent, maybe even her soul, but it ended when he got jealous of her chemistry with another rising artist, Kendrick Lamar. So when Mila's phone buzzed at 3:14 a.m. and Aubrey lit up the screen, she nearly dropped it. She didn't answer right away. She stared at the name, heart racing. Finally, she picked up. Silence, then his voice. Low and tired. Double quotes. "I know it's late," he said, "but I need to see you." She paused. "What do you want, Drake? Clarity?" he whispered, "and maybe a way out." Those 5 words pulled her in. By noon the next day, she was on a private jet to Toronto. What she didn't know was that this wasn't just a reunion. Strategy. Because Drake, in the midst of his breakdown, had latched onto a twisted idea he couldn't beat Kendrick on the mic. He'd outmaneuver him in life. And who better to start with than the one woman Kendrick once cared about? When Mila arrived at the estate, the energy was off. The staff avoided eye contact. Drake greeted her with a tight hug that lingered too long. His eyes looked tired but manic. He poured her wine, played old songs they'd written together, and kept talking about getting back to the roots. She listened, but her instincts screamed. Something was wrong. What is this really about, Aubrey? She finally asked. He hesitated. Then came the truth, or at least his version of it. I lost them, he said. The fans, the streets, the game. They're laughing at me, Mila. I jumped into a crowd and they moved. Like I didn't matter. She softened just a little. Maybe that's because you're trying to be something you're not. Thing you're not. He looked at her sharply. You think I don't know that? But you, Kendrick, he makes it look easy. I'm always 3 steps behind him. Even when I win, they say I cheated. He wins and they call him a prophet. Mila sipped her wine slowly. So why am I here? He leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. I need people to remember I'm human, that I can love, that I'm deeper than money and means, and they'll believe it, if it's with you. She stared at him, stunned. You want to fake a relationship? No, he said too quickly. Not fake, just presented, right? Mila stood up. You're spiraling, Aubrey. You're dragging me into it. But Drake wasn't finished. He played his trump card. What if I told you? Kendrick still talks about you. That the line in his new song left her with a pen. She wrote, our end was about you. She froze. That line had haunted her. And now, here was Drake twisting it into bait. By the end of the night, Mila agreed to stay a few days. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was ego. Maybe it was unfinished business. But whatever it was, it would set off a chain reaction neither of them saw coming. Because while Drake and Mila were playing house in Toronto, a storm was brewing in Los Angeles. Someone from Drake's inner circle, an engineer named Theo, had reached out to a tabloid. He had screenshots, voice memos, and even security footage from the disastrous Mosh pit night. Theo claimed he'd been threatened after warning Drake that the new direction was career suicide. He'd secretly recorded a conversation where Drake allegedly said, I don't care if it's fake. I need them to see me win again. When the article dropped, it lit up the internet like wildfire. Headlines screamed, Drake's Mosh pit meltdown was staged. Insider leaks shocking audio of Drake planning fake comeback. Kendrick responds with cryptic post. They manufacture moments. I live mine. Mila saw it all unfold from Drake's guest room. She confronted him, furious. This is what you've become. She shouted, you're faking pain for clout. Drake didn't deny it. He just looked at her with tired eyes. I didn't fake the pain, just the performance. But Mila wasn't buying it. She packed her things, told him he needed help, and left without saying goodbye. That should have been the end. A tragic chapter closed, but instead, it became fuel. 3 days later, Drake posted a series of photos with Mila, some real, some old, some carefully edited. Dan captioned them. Some things are too real for the industry to understand. The implication was clear. Love, heartbreak, vulnerability. And the internet bought it. Fans who'd once booed him were now posting tearful edits. He's just misunderstood, one wrote. Leave Drake alone, another cried. The sympathy wave had begun, but Kendrick wasn't done. Not even close. During a surprise set at a music festival in New York, Kendrick paused mid-performance and said, some people play chess, others play dress-up. The crowd roared, knowing exactly who he meant. Drake responded the only way he knew how, by dropping a surprise track titled Front Row Faker. It was raw, confessional, and targeted. Lines like, I gave you the world and you gave me your silence. I bled in the crowd. And they treated it like violence painted Him as the wounded hero. But real fans noticed something. The beat, the cadence, it felt eerily familiar. Too familiar. Sounded like a Kendrick B-side. Whispers began that Drake had stolen elements of an unreleased Kendrick tracks only insiders would recognize. And just when people began to doubt it, another leak hit the internet. This time it wasn't from Theo. It was from Mila, and what she leaked would turn everything upside down. The leaked clip was only 17 seconds long, but it was enough to send the entire internet into a frenzy. Mila had recorded Drake on her second night at his Toronto estate, pacing shirtless by the fireplace, voice shaking as he spoke into his phone. In the background, his voice cracked with desperation. "I'll make M love me again, even if I gotta steal his whole blueprint. They don't want Al Briso. I'll give M Kendrick with a better smile." 17 seconds. 17 words that shattered whatever was left of Drake's carefully managed image. Mila didn't caption the video. She didn't explain. Just posted it on her story with the muted audio and the caption, "When truth gets twisted, I untwist it." Within minutes, it spread like wildfire. Every fan, every blog, every podcast was dissecting the clip. The audio was undeniable. Was Drake, his voice, his words, and his intentions laid bare. The betrayal hit hard. Not just because of the confession, but because it came from Mila, the one person who, for a brief moment, made fans believe he was getting better. That there was a comeback arc built on healing. Not theft. Drake was silent for almost 12 hours after the leak. No posts, no stories, no cryptic tweets, nothing. Which only made things worse. Kendrick, on the other hand, couldn't resist. That same night, he dropped a limited release freestyle on his website titled "Borrowed Burdens." Fans scrambled to download it before it disappeared. And when they heard it, jaws dropped. He didn't name Drake directly, but every line dripped with venom. If your idol gotta borrow my sorrow just to borrow some streams, you ain't a legend. You a costume stitched at the seams. They ain't boo you 'cause you broke. They booed you 'cause you lied that mosh pit. Ain't rejection it, was karma in disguise. Fans went crazy. Hashtags trended worldwide. Team Kendrick, Team Drake. Everyone picked a side, and no one held back. But behind the screens and streams, Drake was unraveling. He fired 2 members of his creative team that morning, then canceled 3 upcoming shows. One source claimed he smashed a mixing board in his home studio. Another said he locked himself in his room for almost an entire day, refusing to speak to anyone except his mother. She was the only person who could reach him. And when she did, she told him something that reportedly made him cry, baby. "You've spent your whole life trying to prove you're good enough, but I wish you'd start by believing it yourself." It hit him like a gut punch, but reflection quickly turned to rage when his team showed him Kendrick's freestyle. "He's making a joke out of me," Drake whispered. They're laughing again. And just like that, the warpath reignited. Drake called an emergency meeting at 2 a.m. with what remained of his inner circle. He was done playing soft, done chasing love, done pretending to be healed. This time, he wanted fire. "We go all the way now," he told them. "I want everything. Secrets, stories. I want his pain." What followed was a dark spiral. Drake's team allegedly began digging into Kendrick's personal life. Old friends were contacted. Distant relatives. Whispers of a long-buried family rift surfaced. Something Kendrick never talked about. Publicly, rumors swirled that Drake was planning to expose it all in a diss track called Bloodline. The name alone sent shockwaves. Even people in the industry started warning him to tread carefully. A top producer tweeted, "Some beefs make legends. Others bury them. Drake better know which one he's feeding." But Drake didn't care. Not anymore. And then came the private party, A-list invite, only held in a secluded villa in Miami. No phones, no press, just select guests. And right in the middle of it, all Drake's shirt unbuttoned, cigar in hand, smiling like nothing in the world could touch him. That was the night it all turned, because halfway through the night, a video leaked. A guest, someone too drunk to follow. The no phone rule recorded a moment that would spark the next explosion. In the video, Drake was seen performing an unreleased track for the party crowd. The beat was vicious. The lyrics were personal. And one line hit like a missile. He cried. Over his cousin's overdose? I know, 'cause I paid her rent now. He actin' like he holy when his halo's full of dents. Silence followed that bar. Even in the video, you could see faces drop. By morning, the clip was everywhere. And for the first time, Kendrick responded with something other than a verse. His team issued a rare statement. Certain lines should never be crossed. We hope the industry holds itself accountable. But it didn't stop there. Kendrick's cousin, the one referenced in the bar, posted a long message about his family's struggle with addiction and how Drake's lyrics had reopened wounds they'd fought to heal. Hip-hop Twitter exploded. One fan posted, "This ain't beef anymore. This is cruel." Another wrote, "Drake went from emotional to evil overnight." Sponsors began to pull away. Brands who'd once lined up to be associated with Drake started ghosting his team. Endorsements were paused. Meetings canceled. The industry was rattled, but the biggest blow came from someone no one expected. J. Cole. He went live on Instagram, speaking slowly and carefully. "I respect both these men," he said. "But we gotta ask ourselves, when did we stop caring about the lines we cross for clout?" He didn't say Drake's name, but he didn't have to. Drake saw the clip, watched it 3 times. And then, for the first time in weeks, he laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. "Even Cole's against me now," he said. Perfect. He was alone, again, but the craziest part, he wasn't done yet, because in his mind there was still one move left to play, and it would involve the one person no one ever expected him to drag into this war, his own son. His own son. The sun hadn't even risen when Drake made the call. His voice was low, calculated. "Bring him to the house. Don't tell him anything. Just say we're doing something special." That him was Adonis Drake's young son, a kid who'd been carefully kept out of the industry circus, shielded from the mess, the madness, the music beefs. But now, as Drake stood alone in the wreckage of his public image, something in him snapped. He wasn't trying to win a rap war anymore. He was trying to survive it. His last card. Fatherhood. 2 days later, a video surfaced. Drake, sitting in a cozy studio lounge, his son curled beside him, both of them bobbing their heads to a mellow beat. It looked intimate, raw, almost sweet. And when the beat faded, Drake looked into the camera, eyes low, and spoke. "Y'all ever wonder how it feels to be a dad and still be hated for breathing?" Adonis looked confused, but smiled softly. Drake continued, "You can hate the artist, you can even hate the man. But don't ever hate the father, 'cause this little guy is the only reason I still pick up a mic." This clip hit the internet like an emotional tsunami. Timelines flooded with fans crying, influencers praising his vulnerability, celebrities posting heart emojis. Suddenly, the villain was a father again, a father trying to protect his legacy. The narrative began to shift, but not everyone was buying. Kendrick didn't respond. But a few hours later, an anonymous video began circulating. Blurry, shaky, clearly filmed by someone hiding in a corner. It showed a different side of Drake. The same day that sweet father-son video was filmed, Drake was caught in a separate studio room, yelling at a team member. "I don't care if they think it's manipulative," he shouted. "It's my kid, it's my life. Let them talk." Clip changed everything. Again. The internet split right down the middle. He's exploiting his own son, some screamed. He's being reparenting under pressure. Others countered. But one thing was certain, the sympathy wave was cracking. And then Mila came back. Again, she posted a cryptic Instagram story. A baby picture, Not of Drake's son, not of anyone famous. It's just a small child, smiling. And the caption, "He deserves better than this." People lost their minds. What did she mean? Was she accusing Drake of using Adonis for clout? Or was there more? Rumors began swirling that Mila had recorded even more during her stay at Drake's mansion. Private conversations, vulnerable confessions. Maybe even moments involving Adonis. Tabloids claimed. She was shopping the recordings to streaming platforms for a docuseries. Others said Kendrick's team offered her a role in an upcoming short film based on the beef. Drake was livid. He posted a now-deleted story saying, "The people closest to you cut the deepest." But Trust I got the sharpest pen. And just like that, he announced a new project, an entire album written in 7 days, titled Ashes to Aubrey, the concept. Drake dismantling himself before anyone else could. He claimed it wouldn't be a diss album, but everyone knew better. Whispers in the industry said it was brutal, personal, and terrifyingly raw. Even his inner circle looked shaken after early listening sessions. The lead track, "My Own Worst Friend." A line leaked before the official drop. "I gave y'all bars, gave y'all pain, even gave you my kid, and all you gave me back was silence and another diss to live with." Some said it was the most honest he'd ever been. Others said it reeked of martyr complex. But then, silence. Drake vanished. No promo, no press, no surprise performances. Not even an Instagram post. He disappeared. People speculated everything, from a breakdown to a retreat. Some claimed he was off in the Swiss Alps with Adonis. Others swore they saw him walking barefoot on a beach in Greece. Headphones on, hoodie up, and Kendrick. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His silence became louder than any verse. While Drake poured out pain, heartbreak, and manipulation, Kendrick simply moved forward, dropping a new visual project unrelated to the beef. Collaborating with up-and-coming artists. Donating to community projects in Compton, the contrast was jarring. Drake was spiraling in public. Kendrick was glowing in peace. One final twist came weeks later. An audio file leaked, allegedly the full, unedited version of Drake's conversation with Mila the night she left. In it, Drake admitted something no one expected. "I don't even hate Kendrick," he said. "I just hate that he makes me feel like I'm not enough." And in that one quiet line, the entire saga found its truth. This was never about who was better at rapping. This was about identity, about validation, about a man who had everything but still didn't feel seen. The fans listened, some cried, some mocked, but no one looked away, because whether you loved him or hated him, Drake gave the world something it couldn't stop watching. Man unraveling. Live. And now the world waits to see if he'll ever return, because the next move. So now we're left with a question that cuts deeper than any diss track. Was this all a cry for help or a masterclass in manipulation? Did Drake truly spiral under the weight of Kendrick's shadow? Or did he orchestrate every tear, every post, every staged moment like a reality show finale? And what about Kendrick? Has he really won the war, or just walked away from a fight he knew was already beneath him? Mila's betrayal, the failed mosh pit, the son dragged into the spotlight. The album that felt more like a confession than a comeback. This wasn't just hip-hop drama, this was a cultural earthquake. Fans are still arguing in the comments, the timelines are still split, and the industry, well, they're watching with popcorn in hand. But what do you think? Was Drake a victim of his own fame war? Did he push it too far this time? Does Kendrick owe the world a response? Or did his silence say more than 1,000 verses ever could? Drop your thoughts below. Are you Team Drake, Team Kendrick, or Team Everyone Needs Therapy? Smash that like button if this saga gave you chills. Hit subscribe for more stories that blend the fake with the way to real. And don't forget to tap the bell, because the next twist in this story could drop any minute. and you'll want to be the first to know when it does.